In this tutorial I'm going to go over adding uh, lighting and textures to and materials to your model in Deep Exploration. So here's my model that was modeled in SketchUp, and I have started to add some textures in SketchUp and some colors. The more texturing you do in SketchUp, probably the better. You can apply textures in Deep Exploration, but it can be a little bit awkward. So what we're going to do is start giving different material qualities to our textures. So start off with, we're going to double click on this object, and we get a object properties dialog box coming up, and as you can see there's a whole lot of tabs along the top. Some of these would be quite useful if you want to rotate it relative by typing in coordinates. A little bit of information about objects. So just it's worth keeping an eye on because this has got a whole lot of holes cut out of the object. The number of faces is quite a lot, so it's 1400 faces, which adds up pretty quickly. The other thing we want to look at here is the materials. So there's two materials placed on this object. So this plastic one, which we want to start playing with. So if we double click on it, we get another dialog box come up. And this time we've got a number of tabs along the top. First off, we're going to look at the basic information. So we've got for standard sort of rendering or shading information. So we can change the ambient color, the diffuse color, the opacity, glossiness, specular level. So some of these ray trace reflection. So we can modify these things if we want. So you can come in and so if we want to make it more glossy, we can increase the glossiness. Reflection, we can make it more reflective. Um, and we can sort of then go and render that out. But because we're doing an HDR render, we want to come in here and change it to an HDR material. To start with, we sort of get less material qualities, but if we click under that material type, we can come in and start playing. So I want a shiny material, so then we can play with different reflective color, glossiness we can increase, we want it more glossy or less glossy, blur reflections, we can start checking some of these things. So we can go OK there and OK. Also, I've decided that I'm not so keen on the size that SketchUp has put the blue texture on. So if I can come back, double click on that, come up to maps, and then we've got the diffuse maps. We can then play with the scale of it a little bit. So I'm just going to increase it up. So you can start to see it's repeating. That repeats too much, so I can just pull it back until I'm happy. Usually a good idea to keep those sort of similar size. So that works for what I want. And there's more properties there if you want to get into that. Just be aware it can get a bit messy, so just be careful. So I've changed my material quality. So let's go back and double click on that. So under maps, I changed how the map looked. And then I changed it to a HDR material and then material type, and I edited some of the colors. So okay. Um, the other option we've got, so that's sort of manually doing things. I'm just going to come up to the turntable and get another view. So here I want to, I'll just unselect that. I want to make this shiny, but I want it sort of in a predefined. So if we come down to along the bottom, there's a materials tab, which means we can then add a whole lot of materials. So I want, what do I want? I'm going to see. So these sort of material qualities can be loaded on, and then you can apply a texture over top if you like. So these sort of are setting the qualities of the material or the object. So try, what do we got here? Let's see, something a bit fun. Paint glossy. blue. So now I've put a paint glossy blue onto that. So again, if I come and double click on that, so here's our paint blue, so I can double click and I can edit these things if I want. So I can change the color. I want it to actually be in grey. So close. So now it's set to a color. Coating color I can change as well. That can stay black. Glossiness is 100. I might want to bring that down a bit. I don't want it too glossy. So you can see we can change these pieces as we go along. Close. Okay. So now we've started applying some things. I want to also, just while we're here, let's get in here and add a material to these. So I just want to do a matte color. Find something that's a bit not glossy, I guess. What do we got in here? Carbon fiber. Let's drag that on. So I've dragged carbon fiber onto there, and I want to put something else. Let's add something onto here. Matte black. So just unselect and drag that on there. So I've got a few of these. I also want to add some textures on top of this. So I come over to the textures tab, scroll down. Textures aren't all compiled, so if I can click generate thumbnails, a little button there, and it'll go through and generate all the thumbnails, and it'll take a second to do that. Just enables me to see what each one is. So let's find, so let's see, oxidized metal plate, let's drag that on top. Yeah, so now he's changed the qualities. So if we come back to here, we can render. We've got those objects sort of working. So that's how to add materials. In the second part, we're going to add some lights. But before that, we're just going to do a quick render. So just load an environment and set that up. I'll just pause this and we'll come back and have a look at the render once it's done. Okay, so we have rendered our image, and you can see on the top the reflection of the surface that we've added to the back, and there's a bit of reflection in that surface and the different qualities onto that material. Just to go over quickly, to save, we're going to click save and make sure we have a JPEG, or if you want high quality, I recommend the TIFF format, the tagged image file format, but it does create a bigger file form to start with. So I'm just going to do another one, 3, and save. Okay, so you can see the differences. In the next video tutorial I will play with adding lighting. Okay.